What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. This is episode number 105. We are going on our anime closet cleanup, the 8th iteration. I am joined, as always, as usual, with Will, and I am your other co-host, Jason. Will, what's up?
We're finally going to be talking about some stuff that's been on our list for so fucking long.
Yeah.
We're getting into some real nitty gritty stuff,
And I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. As I told Will off air, I'm really excited to see where this episode goes. So let's just start, shall we?
Just to recap, on my cleanup list, I was required to watch Bokurano R's as well as Godzilla Singular Point. For Jason, he was required to watch Idoly Pride as well as Odd Taxi. So a very, very eccentric mix of anime series. Some old, some new, some original, some completely fucked up. So,
some sad, some good.
Yeah. So
all good, maybe?
No need to explain what the cleanup is. You've been here already 7 times. This is the 8th time now. More importantly, who's going to go first and what anime they're going to talk about?
Oh my god.
Because I'll keep it straight with you.
Yeah.
I probably don't have as much as you think I want to say about the cleanups that I have. Whereas I feel you probably have a bit more to say.
I think I have a bit more to say.
So why don't we start with you?
Sure. Let's start with the troll pick that actually turned out to not be that troll of a pick, Idoly Pride. It is an idol-themed multimedia project created by Cyber Agent, which is a subsidiary of Quai Arts. Is that how you say it?
Qual Arts.
Qual Arts. Straight Edge, and of course, the biggest monolith, Sony Music Entertainment Japan, the subsidiary of Music Ray, with the character designs by QP Flapper. I don't really know if maybe in the idol world it's just like someone well-known.
This is all from Wikipedia. So.
Right. The project also has 2 manga series, Idoly Pride Stage.
It should be Idoly Pride. I mistyped that.
Yeah,
Idoly
all good, all
Pride,
good.
Stage of Asterism.
And
Idoly Pride, beginning of Lodestar.
As well as a mobile game, because obviously it's a mixed media project, so there's going to be all these different formats.
Originally managed by a Japanese company, but then I think that project got transferred to NeoWiz, which is a really, really big Korean mobile game company. They do a lot of music-based games. I play a lot of them. I play a lot of NeoWiz games.
Is it like Osu level, kind of like beat
that?
matching?
Yeah, exactly, like the beat mashing stuff. Yeah.
Oh, those are back in the day. I used to play a lot of that.
I was so good at them, and then I got old.
Yeah,
I turned 19, and I was no longer good anymore.
Damn. Produced by Lurch, premiered in winter 2021, has a MAL score of 7.41, ranked 2341. Popularity 2334. So
4-year-old anime now, which it's still relatively fresh, but we're getting to the point where it's going to be like a relatively vintage. We're getting to the point now where like anything that released like 10 years ago is considered a classic.
Yeah.
My rule for classics is if it's old enough to drink in Hong Kong, which is 18 years old, then it's a classic.
Yeah, if it's an adult, it's an adult, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So Idoly Pride, I guess, let me ask you first, Will. This was kind of like your weird curveball troll pick, right? Is it fair to say it's a troll pick to a certain extent?
Troll, no. Curveball, yes.
Okay.
Because I know absolutely nothing about it, but I saw the word idol in there. I was like, this is probably something Jason would not enjoy.
Right. And to give everyone context in terms of my knowledge and appreciation of idols, other than, I guess, idol tangent shows. So, for example, Sinful Gear is a series that is idol a little bit adjacent that I really adore. I also adore Zombieland Saga. So there are idol kind of stuff that I am into.
Idol adjacent, basically.
Yeah, but not like idol, right?
Yeah. Like you're not going to be like Love Live Superstar.
Right. Can I ask you, before I go into my feelings on Idoly Pride, like what was your motivation to pick it? Like of all of the shows to pick, why this show?
So there were 2 things. One, I feel like I can't remember actually whether this was on my list or on your list, but I think it was
On my list, probably.
No, it was actually from my list.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why is because I don't really use MAL as much as I used to. Therefore, I don't have a lot on my to watch list. And even if I did, a lot of them you've already watched or consumed some of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, look, I'm just gonna look around and see what there is. I just started scrolling back a couple seasons, and then I saw the word idol. I was like, okay, that's it. That's
Okay.
done. That's literally the method I went through
Okay.
to pick the series for you.
So you actually don't know a lot.
I don't know Jack.
Okay. I know a little bit of the reputation of Idoly Pride prior to, watching Idoly Pride, and that it is not a typical idol show. Now, what does that mean? It turns out it is a lot more serious and a lot more different than I thought. Without going crazy into the whole, idol, I guess you can say idol training cycle montage, I'll just say what is very different about Idoly Pride. First of all, I guess you could say one of the twists is expressed in the first episode. In fact, very, very early in the first, it's right away, which is someone dies.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the idol girls dies. And not only does she die, but she comes back as a ghost. Okay. Then you get the idol stuff, which is essentially 5 girls who are dressed in all orange, who is essentially one half of the group, and then the other half is essentially bluish purple, which is the other half of the group. And the way that it kind of works is that they all live together, they all bond and everything. And eventually what they do is they have to harmonize as a team. They go through trials and adversity. And you think, okay, that's it, right? There's nothing a lot of interesting.
I mean, that's the idol formula.
Right. What I will say about the idol formula, which again, it's not surprising to anyone, there's the glow stick stuff, there's obviously the choreography, there's obviously a lot of singing and 3D motion stuff that is sometimes not that great. But some of the choreography is actually done pretty well, in the sense that it is not just like, how 3D animation sometimes is really like laggy and then it's really slow and it's just like, dude, that's not how humans move. And it just doesn't look that good. And then all of a sudden it jumps into 2D and then it jumps back into 3D. Well, this one, at least based on what I know and what I've seen, it looks pretty good. And even though there are things that stick out, it looks fine. Definitely better than like Zombieland Saga, even though I like Zombieland Saga quite a bit. Okay. So, about that dead idol that came back as a ghost. So, the thing that I think is really interesting about this show is that it is not always happy-go-lucky. I think a lot of idol shows, to my knowledge, are very much like cute girls doing cute things.
Very cheery, yippy kind of environments. Yep.
And you still also get those character tropes. You get the quiet one, you get the kudere, you get the girl that is really into like this weird eccentric hobby. You get like the girl that is always like bubbly. You get the girl that is very quiet. You get the girl that sucks at dancing. You get the girl that is really good at singing. All these kinds of variations are all present in these 10 girls. So why is that important? Because you get the perspective of the idol that died, which is Mana Nagase. And she is important because she's kind of like the best that there was. She's like super awesome. And then a tragic incident occurred on the day of a tournament final, because guess what? Idols have tournament arcs now, I guess.
Okay.
And a tragic accident occurred, and she dies. And I thought, like, what the fuck is this? Because how is it possible that you talk about, like, a death and, like, remorse and grief in such a way that is, like, that's not in an idol show. But guess what? In Idoly Pride, it's there. You talk about things where people fail. People are not happy. People fight. And just some really dark shit. And it's kind of like, how Oshinoko focuses sometimes on the less prettier side of the acting industry or the music industry.
The dark underbelly of
Yes.
the environment, yeah.
I would say Idoly Pride doesn't go all the way there, but it's like halfway there. But because it is so different than every single other idol show on the planet, it kind of is very obvious. The other thing that's very obvious that I think a lot of people from who likes K-pop and would know, there is romance. And if you know things about idols or like, you know, like boy bands, you cannot date. You don't date. That's forbidden. That's like a no-go to talk romance. It like ruins the vibe and it's like sacrilegious. Well, no, there is a romance that is very central to the story. And there is a point at the last episode where a bunch of events occur, which also involves the sister of the idol who died, and she tries to go into her sister's footsteps and tries to, you know, learn about idols and try to be just like the sister, older sister that she admires so much. I kid you not, Will. There was a song, there was a kiss, and there was music, and I bawled my eyes out.
Wow, okay.
It was really touching. And I was not expecting any of that, nor was I expecting a lot of the directions that Idoly Pride goes down. Now, is it like a really good show? No, I don't think so. But I think I'm not the target audience because if you are into idol shows, I can see why this one is super special and unique because it kind of it doesn't do conventional things, but it still has the conventional aspects, but with added flavor, or they do taboo things. Or they talk about things that you don't talk about because you need to focus on the happy-go-lucky. You need to focus on how getting choreography wrong and then yelling at each other rather than, no, guys, let's band together.
So like typical idol formula, but with like the harsh reality of the industry, like kind of woven into it.
Yeah, and also things like talking about love that is just like, what the fuck? Also, I've not mentioned the ghost girl, Nana Nagase, which is kind of interesting because she is like the veteran. She knows what is going on. And through her, you kind of see the different perspective that a newbie would not know, which is also the manager who used to be the dead idol Mana's manager, who continues his career trying to sort of, you know, keep the flame going, trying to basically years after her death wanted to rebuild a team from scratch to kind of, whether it's to prove to himself or prove to the idol that he managed that passed away, that he can do the impossible.
Is there any significance in terms of, like, when you look at Idoly Pride's poster on my anime list, why there are girls dressed in orange and there are girls dressed in blue?
Yes, because they are split into 2 teams of 5.
And are they like part of the same troupe, or are they competing against each other?
Both.
Okay. All right.
So, and again, I keep forgetting it's like sunrise and sun and stuff. Okay, basically, the orange ones is more cutesy, happy-go-lucky, energetic,
and the blue
choreography.
is the more melodramatic.
The more refined, the more kudere,
okay.
the more dramatic, as you say, right? Like if one is more Shakespeare, you know, a Twilight, you know, Romeo and Juliet, and then the other one is like cutesy Lucky Star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you go, okay, but they're friends, but they're frenemies, and then there's a tournament at the end. What happens? How is that doable when you guys live together, when you guys bond together, and then now you're opposed to each other? And the ending, I guess, is a little bit of a cop-out, but then the real ending is like really touching because it kind of culminates into this moment that is very, very touching. And that completely caught me off guard. And I think this is one of those shows where it was a very interesting watch, but I don't think I would have ever watched it under any normal circumstances.
So basically, you're saying that you only watched this because you were held at gunpoint.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That being said, it is a very solid 8 out of 10. I think if you, especially obviously if you don't like idol songs, because they have a certain beat, they have a certain BPM, they have a certain cutesiness and moe that if you don't like it, this is not going to convince you otherwise.
Right.
You are not going to be convinced about the slightly pseudo Oshinoko grim dark analysis of the harsh reality of idols and choreography and nothing is happy-go-lucky. But at the same time, it also has all those ingredients as well. So I would say at the end of the day, I'm glad I watched it because it's definitely a very unique show that I completely would have written off. But it turned out that in the end that it was a show that defied at least what I expected idol shows to be. And I would actually even encourage people to watch it when you have no care in the world for idol shows.
I mean, how many idol shows have you watched? I'm including Simple Gear in this.
I mean, let me see. If I can go, let's see, Idoly Pride, because I definitely have.
Because like if you're talking like idol shows, right? There would be like Zombieland Saga, Simple Gear, Love Live.
No, but I've not watched the Love Live. Let me see. Do they have the tag? Where's the tag?
Well, yeah,
Idols female.
Yeah, they have that one.
Well, okay, does Visual Prison count? Because that's like male idols, I guess.
Okay, yeah, idols in general, yeah.
So Hypnosis Mike would count.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, because we both kind of watched both of those shows a little bit.
They're great.
They're fucking fantastic.
Like no troll.
No troll. So Zombieland Saga, I've definitely watched. Sinful Gear again. I'm trying to see where else. There's like Magical Girl, Ore that I think I watched. The Love Live, obviously, I didn't, and I think
There's
Idol,
too many of them.
The Idol Masters, I definitely didn't. There really isn't a lot of shows that I watched that is heavily idol based. So for me to really kind of endorse it, it was surprising even for me.
I was very surprised too. I'm actually very surprised hearing that. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. It wasn't meant to be like a troll pick like initially. I think it was more just like I can't really find anything that Jason hasn't watched yet, so I'll just pick a random show. Oh, here's an idol show. Give it to Jason.
Yeah, I think if you want to know what idol shows can be, but you're kind of intimidated by the craziness, the fandom, and like the 1 millionth time of Love Live and those kinds of shows, I think this one is a very good show to get like your foot in the door. At least, even if you don't watch any other idol shows, you watch this one. I think this is the one to kind of ease you in, to at least see what's all about. And I really think that a lot of people are sleeping on it because the 7.4, I could see it a little bit higher.
But it's probably one of the more divisive kind of scores, right? Where it's like some people think it's just fine, some think it's great. So therefore, like I feel like it's a good middle ground.
I think, I don't know definitively, but I think there is two very strong camps of this is sacrilegious towards the idol formula, and then the other half, which I'm in, is this is a really interesting take. And they don't dramatically make everything go crazy bonkers, but they add enough crazy bonkers stuff for it to stand on its own two legs.
Yeah, I mean, like middle of the road, like 7 to 8 score. Membership on the lower side for an idol show because like it's not even comparable to like Simple Gear and Love Live.
Well, with Sinful Gear, it's like just crazy. It's like it's just superheroes. Zombieland Saga is like wacky premise because they're zombies. Love Live, Idol Master, Cinderella, all those are your straight up typical idol shows. And I think, for me personally, I think this is like a really interesting show.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that one. On to my first pick, Godzilla Singular Point. Original anime series directed by Atsushi Takahashi and written by To Enjo. It was nominated for the 42nd Nihon SF Taisho Award in 2022. It was also in the same year the winner of the 53rd Seiun Award in the Best Media category, and it's also in the same year the winner of the VX VFX Japan Awards for the excellence and best in television/distribution programming for anime's CG category.
So VFX being visual effects, right?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a co-production between Bones and Orange. You don't need to guess who did what. This was premiered in spring 2021. I actually noticed that like 3 of the 4 we have released in 2021, so only 4 years ago.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yep. So, Mal score. The anime itself is rated at a 6.65, ranked 6249 with a popularity of 2756. So, not amazing scores. What's this story all about? It's a alternate reality like Godzilla story set in like a different timeline. Well, it's set in modern day, but like contemporary modern day. It's not like when Godzilla first started in like the 70s and 80s. Like,
Right.
Not like that kind of modern. It's technology up the wazoo for this
Yeah.
one. Very much like the focal point of this is the technology behind a lot of the things that happen in GSP. I'm just gonna call Godzilla single point GSP from now, or Godzilla.
Sure.
Okay.
No
So,
problem.
starts off with 2 people, Yun Arikawa and his partner Haberu Kato, investigating a reportedly haunted house. So it's kind of weird because they're more sort of like electricians. They work for they work as like freelance technologists, but they have this little doohickey that essentially picks up radio waves, and they find this mysterious radio signal that's coming out from the house. And as that happens, Yun gets a call from a graduate student named Mei Kamino, who's also investigating the same signal. And so therefore they are essentially using their knowledge and their expertise in terms of trying to decipher what this signal means. Sorry, excuse me a second. Dry throat. It's really shit weather here.
Yep.
So as they investigate this, they come across this weird phenomena.
Anomaly kind of thing, right? Yeah. Okay. Is it still in the house?
This is still in the house.
Okay.
But they've left now, right?
Okay. Okay.
As they leave, weird monsters start showing up across the town. So very much similar to how a lot of the kaiju stories happen, right?
Like, what size are we talking?
Pterodactyl.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As if like anybody has a reference point on how big they're big. They're pretty damn big.
No, but they're not Godzilla big.
No, not
Yeah, right.
not far from it.
Okay. Okay.
So they start flying around. One of them gets into the town center. And it's really weird how it all starts because I should probably say spoilers, but probably don't care. They're having this weird sort of like town festival thing where they're showcasing all these new gadgets and mechas they've built. So Yun, as part of this this freelance work he does at the Otaki factory, they built a robot named Jet Jaguar.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And it's a robot that was built by this conspiracy theorist named Goro Otaki, who has a dream of creating robots and thinking that, like, you know, the end is nigh, gotta make these big-ass mechas to protect humanity and, you know, not die and all that. So this flying dinosaur, the pterodactyl creature, called... Okay, this is the part where, like, I'm a little bit annoyed because the subtitles... The data entries for the series writes it as Rodan, Rodan. However, in the anime, they pronounce it as Radon.
Oh.
It really annoyed me a lot throughout the whole season. But anyways, I'm just going to call them Radon because that's how they pronounce it, even though that's not how it's spelt. One flies into the town hall and essentially starts wrecking shit. There's no military presence whatsoever because it's just a town hall to display all the different creations they have, right? Then Goro, this old fucker, decides, I'm going to fight this thing. Jumps into the mecha and starts fighting it. But his geriatric ass is not very good at fighting it, so he just gets completely destroyed. The robot it just gets fucked up. It's got its arms pulled off and whatnot.
Oh,
and
shit.
Goro gets thrown out.
Okay.
So, Yun decides, okay, I'm going to essentially wirelessly connect to this with my little AI machine that I developed, and I'm going to pilot it through my phone.
Okay.
And manages to stave off and take out the
Pterodactyl
the
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things are safe for now. But that's just the beginning, because all of a sudden, more and more monsters start showing up. The seas turn red. And then throughout the research of understanding these radio signals, they find an old ancient story of a monster that lived beneath the waters.
Okay. I know. Okay. I know where this is going.
And it was basically like the story of of the apocalypse coming, in which the seas will part, it'll turn red, the monsters will fly up in order to reawaken
from
the
their
sea
slumber.
beast.
You're right. Yeah.
That's generally like the whole story.
Right.
Okay. I fucking hated this.
Oh shit. Okay. Sorry.
No, it's not your fault, because I wanted to like it just because I do like kaiju, I do like Sentai, I do like these kinds of stories.
That's why I picked it.
Even
because
though I'm not like the biggest Godzilla fan, I mean, like, but I do like it.
Right.
So what it does well is create a separate story in terms of not just, Godzilla has awoken from the oceans and starts coming up and destroying everything. No, they try and add like a mystery, which is intertwined with like some sci-fi in there. It's very much a sci-fi series.
Right. It sounds like it's very techno kind of focused.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they built this mecha to essentially fight all these monsters, right?
I've seen Pacific Rim.
Yeah, it's that. It's basically Pacific Rim. But
not good.
But not good. Not
Pacific
great.
Rim's great.
Yeah. I should watch it. So it is a fresh take in terms of the Godzilla story. What's also really cool is whenever like a monster shows up, of course, like, they do the fights and whatnot. But then when you get closer and closer to sort of unearthing the mystery of this monster, spoiler, it's Godzilla.
Oh
right?
shit!
You know the motif, like the little like the theme song of Godzilla, they play it when they sort of oversee the ocean and slowly turns red. And I was like, when it hit, I was like, yeah, this is great.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Did it roar? Did it roar?
No, he hasn't shown up yet.
Oh,
that's the thing. Godzilla doesn't show up immediately, right? Over the 13 episodes, Godzilla doesn't even show up until near the end.
I like that though. I like that concept, at least. I don't know how well it executes, but
the reason why it's also because, and I feel this is like a cheap formula, but it works. It's the monster of the week kind of thing. They introduce new monsters every so often.
Does it increase in scale?
Oh yeah, they get bigger, they get scarier, they get more murderous and whatnot. But yeah, so like basically like new monsters, but like not new. These are monsters that all existed within like the Godzilla continuum.
Right.
So you would have seen it from like the old movies and TV series that they've had.
So it's like a nostalgia trip.
Kind of like, if you watched the Ultraman anime.
Yeah.
And they reintroduce all those monsters, all the villains and whatnot. It gives you that kind of feeling.
Ah, I see.
Right?
Okay.
And so like I can understand that if you are a massive like Godzilla head, you would love it. You would just love seeing like these monsters brought back to life, despite these having existed like 20, 30 years ago when the movies first originally came out. Right. So that's the good.
Okay.
Now onto the bad. This was probably one of the worst voice acted series I've ever watched.
Really?
The line deliveries were flat. The characters were not personable. There was no energy in terms of the communication. It felt like everybody was very blasé and bored. It was very much like, the radio waves are not working as I expected. What's going on? Oh, let me double check our frequencies. Let me see if everything's... Oh, I just spotted an anomaly. Oh, wow.
Oh, it's my turn to talk now into the mic?
Yeah.
This is weird. Yeah.
You just don't feel... It's not so much that, like, it was their fault. It wasn't like the voice actors just did not give a shit. It was more just the fact that when they delivered their lines, it was so lackluster. It felt like there was no emotion in the characters themselves.
So the voice director fucked up.
Yeah.
Because that's that person's job.
I just did not enjoy watching or listening to any of them delivering their lines. It was a very, very poor performance. And on top of that, the characters themselves are boring as shit, right? Like Jun, the main character, who's supposedly this tech whiz who knows how to, develop his own AI models and pilot robots and shit. I could not care less about him. The other main character, May, the college student, she's also just as boring. Whenever it's like they discover a new thing, it's just like, I've discovered it. I found it. I must get this research over to so-and-so. Oh, but they're all the way in India right now. Oh, how am I going to get there?
Wait, India?
Yeah, it's
globetrotting?
It's an international thing. There's a global summit where they talk about all this phenomena of like time travel and shit.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yes, where time exists within a 4D plane. Where like
I mean the fourth dimension is time,
but also the understanding why there are so many occurrences of time happening at the same time.
Don't tell me it goes to a singular point. I will lose my mind. Okay.
It's not that hard to figure out.
Sure. God damn it. Okay, so I'm looking through the voice cast and just like skimming through, okay? These are extensive resumes. Like, no joke. They are not like, like Belle, where she was like one and done first time in. Like, we're talking like 30, 40 credits.
They're veterans or they've been doing this job for a long time. And again, I'm not blaming the voice actors and actresses themselves. What I'm blaming is the overall tone of the anime, in which there's no excitement, there's no like fear, there's no anger, there's no horror in him delivering their lines. It's just they deliver it and then that's it. And I think it's also just how like the characters' personalities are as well. They are the most boring, unlikable characters I've met.
Is it they're unlikable because it's stereotypical trope, or
no? It's just the fact that there's absolutely no personality. And so therefore there's nothing to latch onto. It's like maybe you like them because they're quirky. Maybe you like them because they're very stoic. Maybe you like them because they're wacky and they are crazy and whatnot. But they don't have that. There is, however, one character that is like this is the old geriatric conspiracy theorist, Gordo. And I fucking hate him. Oh. He is absolutely the worst character in the whole series because all he does is just spew conspiracy theories. He just talks with like his gap-toothed mouth. He just yaps and yaps and yaps. There's nothing of substance to anything he says other than, we gotta kill all these monsters. Oh, we gotta kill Godzilla. He's just old Yeller. It's just hollering the whole time.
That's so unfortunate because when I picked the show, I have to be honest, it was a little bit of a selfish kind of endeavor, which is I knew the score was low, but I didn't want to watch it, so I would just put it there to hopefully you would get it and watch it. Not to torture, but to tell me.
That wasn't your intent, I know.
It was to tell me why it was bad. Because it's also licensed by Netflix exclusively. So it's
when you have, like, Bones and Orange working on it, too, right?
And then when you fast forward to, like, now, there's what Kong and, like, Godzilla Cross Kong is like massive.
The properties themselves are always going to be massive, right? I just felt that this massively under delivered for me. The voice acting was bad. The story was there. It was just the fact that because of how the characters delivered the plot lines and like how they progressed the story, it just fell flat for me. Like I was just not interested in them ever discovering the real secrets as to the awakening of Godzilla or actually meeting them for the first time.
Like it would have been a lot better if it was a manga because there would not be the voices.
Yeah. Oh, and also the AI was not great either.
Right.
The delivery was just very weird because like the AI is very chibi and cute and whatnot because basically this AI that this is the other thing as well. May, who is a computer scientist or scientist-esque graduate student, right? She learns about Yun and how he developed an AI model and she's like, oh, he's got AI models now. I'll just download it. no problem. Even though it's an unsecured network and it immediately downloads packages onto her computer, takes all of her personal information, and creates an AI model onto her own personal details. So the AI knew that she owned a dog, so that it basically created a second dog for her. So her dog was called Pelops. And so the AI is like, oh, I'm going to be called Pelops too then. And it's essentially a dog AI that is able to do crazy calculations and whatnot, and actually helps her to further her research. Cool. It did not work for me. It was just so jarring. I just did not enjoy a lot of the characters and how they were portrayed. The monsters were cool. The monsters were great. They were annoying as fuck, which they're meant to be.
Was the sound design good?
Oh, the monster was okay. The music. Oh, so actually, the music was not great either.
Ooh,
the music was not great. But I haven't even got to like the worst thing about this.
Oh shit. Okay.
Which is the actual visuals themselves. Now, Bones does really good work. Orange does really good work.
But
however, Bones traditionally only does 2D. Orange traditionally only does 3D.
Uh-oh. Okay.
When you put the two together, it doesn't mesh very well. Right? You could see like the 3D models of the monsters, of the mecha, of Godzilla. They look fantastic. Bones keeps nice and sharp, nice and clean. That's how their visuals are. But when you put them together, and it's like the stills of Bones' backgrounds, along with the Godzilla emerging from its cavern, it just feels very jarring. It just does not look like it fits.
It's like when I look at Idoly Pride or these idol shows, and they flash between 2D and then hand-drawn 2D and then 3D models that are. Why is one very fluid and then the other one is laggy and slow, and then there's this really jarring juxtaposition, right?
So it's not so much that it's like, oh, the 3D is bad.
No.
It's more the fact that the 3D looks really good and the 2D looks really good. But you put the two together and they just do not work well together.
And it's hard because when you said, for example, at the end of the day, if you as an audience or viewer does not buy into it, it's a moot point, right? Like, so for example, if the voice actors are not convincing you in terms of their tone, if the storyline is not captivating, then if the 2D and 3D is what you see, which is on the screen, constantly is this weird 2D, 3D kind of, it's almost like they're fighting within themselves.
Yeah. So add it all together, I think that the score of 6.65 is actually
too high?
A bit too high.
Oh, shit.
I feel it should be more like a 6.3. If it was a flat 6, I'd be okay with that. No, it's not a bad show. It's fine.
Really?
It's fine in terms of like, if you care about Godzilla, you just want to see the monster of the week. You want to see them discovering the secrets as to why Godzilla exists, because there is a level of mystery or the conspiracy in there, where like the government is sort of like holding on to the remains of this mystical monster because it holds the key to be able to create, the world's greatest weapon. And you know what happens when you discover weapons of mass destruction, right?
Right.
So there's that would carry anybody who's interested in Godzilla to the end. That didn't work for me. But that doesn't mean that like what I say is fully representative of how others feel about it, right? I
have to be honest. A lot of people probably agree with you with that score, right?
Yeah, I think like it's not a bad show.
It sounds to me it is, though.
It's more the fact that when you attach the names of Godzilla, Bones, Orange onto this property, it massively underdelivers. I feel that a lot of people would agree with me that this was probably not the best adaptation of a Godzilla story, and I know like I'm trying to refrain myself from being too harsh because I want to at least sort of give people some positives as to why the show is possibly for them. Right? There were people who feel that the story was written really well, and people managed to sort of thread the line of science and fiction together to sort of understand this phenomena that is Godzilla. But there are also others where they're just like, ooh, great colors, ooh, great 3D, ooh, but everything else is kind of boring and lackluster. You know, the character lines, like, you didn't deliver them, not very impactful. The story itself is pretty flat, da 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 da. So, in all, I feel that whilst I wouldn't say it's the worst thing I've ever watched, I would say that this is something that I probably would have watched out of interest on my own. I just never got to it, and then would have been disappointed in it.
Right.
Right. So it's a hard pass in terms of like whether it was a good use of my time. But now that I have watched it, it's serviceable for people who want to continue consuming any lore related to Godzilla, despite this being an alternate reality Godzilla. But overall, I just feel that this just was not a good use of my time.
Right.
I did watch all 13 episodes.
Right. And it was okay.
Like, it wasn't like, oh, like this is like absolutely the worst thing I've ever watched. I think it's just when you add everything together, it makes it a really bad time.
I think when something is not horrendously bad, that's laughable, or so bad it's so good,
it's the purgatory that we talk about.
It's the mediocreness of it, that, or what it could have been, because why would it have failed? On paper, it shouldn't.
If it had more likable characters, if it had a story that was carried by the personalities of these characters, I think the story itself is good. It makes sense when you're trying to sort of understand like scientific phenomena and tying it into a monster that shouldn't exist, but it does exist, and trying to unearth the secrets that it holds, but then realizing that the people who hold this monster are also the government, and therefore you have all these crazy conspiracies coming from it. Like, that stuff is cool.
Yeah,
that stuff is really cool.
It's like Roswell, like Area 51, but instead of aliens, it is kaiju.
Right? Aliens don't exist until an alien shows up, but who wants to actually be freaked out by an alien? No, we got to keep this away from the public, right? And that's exactly what this whole Godzilla singular point story is. It just was not delivered well.
I'm also kind of surprised that you said that the visual is really bad, because it won visual awards.
It's not really bad. It's just, for me personally, I just feel that when you watch something by Orange, you watch it in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Bones. It's when you mix them two together and you just like, it just, for me, didn't work.
Yeah, but that's not an excuse to say that that's okay, because just because you like two things, or any two things, you combine them, does not mean that it will go well.
This is not 1 + 1 = 2. This is the ones themselves hold more power within their own realms, and then when you try and mesh it together, I personally just felt it did not mesh well.
Right.
Visually, like, I would not disagree with anybody saying that it was impressive, but this is just me being an anime fan who has watched enough stuff from Bones, enough stuff from Orange, and feeling that I would actually have much preferred if Bones just did the 3D themselves, or like offshored it to like another company to do it. Right. I just feel like it did Orange a disservice. Right. If however the whole thing was done by Orange,
that would have been different.
Very different. Right? Like, because you know that like Orange is going to do some good ass work, and they've never failed to impress in terms of visual aesthetics.
Even Trigun, we are very impressed with the way it looks.
I like Trigun. I mean, the little firing of the bullets and the bullet storm shit was fucking awesome.
And then ricochets, right?
Yeah.
Season 2 is coming.
Yep. Oh, and that's the other thing as well with Godzilla's singular point. So it ends, right? They deal with the whole Godzilla thing. And then like there's a crazy mad scientist who discovered the remains of Godzilla in the first, or this monster in the first place.
Okay.
And he's been gone for like decades.
Okay.
He mysteriously shows up at the end and smiles at the camera. Black.
What?
Because there may be a second season. back in 2023, when the creators of Godzilla Singular Point were interviewed about the possibility of a second season, they said, under contract, I cannot say whether or not there will be another season. And I'll leave it at that. So then people started like coming up with theories. Oh, maybe there is going to be a second season.
So it's its own conspiracy theory. That's so meta.
So actually, let me pull it up. Let's see. What did they say? So okay. When questioned by a fan on Twitter about the possibility of a sequel to GSP, the screenwriter Ko Enjo told the user, due to the contract, all I can say is there may or may not be a next season.
Okay.
Yep, and that was 2 years ago.
So, can I ask about the destructibility? Because when it comes to kaiju, or even Sentai shows, but especially kaiju, the thing that to me is most important is the sound design of the kaiju, the scale ability, and because it's, I mean, we talked.
Those are good. Those are fine.
Like the footprint of Godzilla, and then there's like a guy that stands next to it at some point. Yeah. What about? It just
and all the characters are really dumb, really, really dumb. Okay, so you know how I said that like, the becoming of the apocalypse. Some of the signs are monsters fly from the sky. And the ocean turns red.
Yep.
So there are fishermen that are sailing these oceans, and the oceans are completely red. Yet the thing that they find weird is that there is a flying monster in the sky. And like, brother, everything around you is red, and you don't think that's weird at all.
I don't know what to say to that, because you're right. Right?
A lot of the characters are just very, like, it's not even stereotypically, like, oblivious to things. It's more just, like, this is such a massive oversight. Like, why is it that these characters who, and amongst this whole ocean's worth of red water, does not seem to notice that something's amiss until they see a flying pterodactyl?
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not confused in relation to the reception and your opinion of it, because that checks out. I'm just so confused because
why did they leave it in there, right? Why was that even like part of the script, right?
Like, even you and I on our own could have like figured that out. I don't know. Like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, and apparently like there are some things in the story where like if there was going to be a second season,
they planted the seed.
Yeah. The next big kaiju would probably be Mechagodzilla.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean
that's pretty cool though.
It follows like the similar like storyline of like the original series,
like the hierarchy, right? Yeah. Okay. I mean, that would have been cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I gave it a 6.
Ooh.
I gave it a 6. It's serviceable. It's okay, but it's because of the fact that if I gave it a 5, then that meant that like I would have just dropped it right ahead.
Right.
But I didn't, because there was enough for me to just keep on watching and just seeing if it got better, if they could develop these characters further, if the story became a bit more sort of exciting. And in the end, like, it just was okay.
So let's say you're watching it of your own volition. You did not have to commit to the closet cleanup. At what point in the series would you have dropped it?
Probably after like the halfway point.
So you would,
because a lot of the stuff kind of drags on in terms of understanding the certain phenomena of these creatures that keep showing up, and also like it was just the fact that Goro character just really pissed me off. I really did not like that character.
I mean,
just imagine like a senile old man spewing conspiracy theories like come to life. That's literally the character, and I don't, and that's why I'm off Twitter, right? Because I don't want to keep on like having people like being in an echo chamber and like, okay, the characters entertain it because it turns out what he said,
he's the old man.
No, because in the end it turns out because he's right.
God damn it, they validated it.
Yeah, they validate this crazy crackpot motherfucker just spewing random shit. So yeah, I appreciate you saying, like, despite the positives, I'm listening to it really is a bad show. And yes, in many ways it is a bad show, but it's just because it's a bad show for me. In general, I think it's okay for most, which is why like a 6.65 kind of depicts that, right?
Yeah.
So I would not recommend people jump on to watching this, especially since it's already like 4 years old, and like we just did a spring seasonal where there's a bunch of good stuff to check out in the coming weeks.
Would you say just watch the live action movies instead?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like this doesn't mean that like I want to completely close the door on anime adaptations of Godzilla. I just think that it's been 4 years, and if there is going to be a sequel, which may or may not happen according to the directors, right? They hopefully would have learned their lessons and actually produce something that is more personable, something that actually because the thing is, it's like you watch these shows because you care about the characters, you care about the monster himself, Godzilla, right? That's why people watch the Godzilla movies,
Right.
But I didn't give a fuck about him,
Right.
so yeah.
Well, there is a kaiju show. It's called Kaiju Number 8.
Yeah, and that one's okay.
Yeah,
That one's okay.
That was okay. Good action. So, all right, that wraps up our first half. Will, do you want to take a break? Or...
Yeah, let's take a break. I think I need to take a break.
All right, we'll be right back.
You're back listening to the Good Anime Palette podcast. We're getting into the second half of today's closet cleanup. So we talked about Godzilla Singular Point. We talked about Idoly Pride. Idoly Pride being a surprise hit.
Yep.
And Godzilla Singular Point being a unexpected dump for me. But we're not going to talk about those anymore because we're going to move on to the last two picks for today's episode. So do you want to start off again, or should I go off on mine first?
I actually don't know.
Because both of these are worth talking at length.
How about you? Since I went first with Idoly Pride, you go first with the
last show that I watched for today's closet cleanup is Bokurano, based on the completed manga series Bokurano Rs by Mahiro Kito, who did both the story and art. It was published in English by Viz Media under the Shigeki imprint from February 16, 2010 through to September 16, 2024. So this manga series is at least 15 years old. Won the Excellence Award in the manga division at the 14th Japan Media Arts Festival in 2010. And this is relatively outdated, but by November 2009, the manga had over 1 million copies in circulation. It's definitely more than that now, but how many? I don't know. So the anime was produced by Gonzo. I believe they're defunct now, right? Or are they still around?
They are still around.
Okay. And this was released in spring of 2007. So the source, which is the manga, sits at an 8.02 for the raw score, 536 for its popularity. Very, very popular manga series. The anime sits at a 7.59 with a popularity of 1,311. Membership just under 200,000. So still pretty decently popular. I think it's one of the more sort of like cult following. I mean, cult following, even though there's like several 100,000 people who like it. But yeah, you know where I'm getting at.
I know.
So can't really talk about this without spoilers, so if you haven't watched it and you do want to check it out, then don't listen to what I'm going to be saying for the next 20-30 minutes. But if you already watched it, or you just don't care about spoilers and you want to know what the hell Bokurano is about, listen on.
Would you want to, for those who don't want to listen on, just a yay or nay?
No, I think here right now, like once you've heard this part, you'll know what you just skip to the next timestamp.
Got it.
Cool. So, stories about 15 children. They go to a summer camp, having fun, playing by the seaside. All of a sudden, look, there's a cave over there. We should totally check out that cave. Okay, let's go into that cave and see what's inside. Hey, there's a computer here. There's a desk. What's going on? Oh, wait. Who's that? An old man shows up. Oh.
Fuck that guy.
Hi, I see you've discovered me. Oh, hey, old man, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm just developing a game. you guys want to play a game? Game? What kind of game are you developing? Oh, it's a game where you pilot a robot and you fight other robots and you destroy aliens. All 15 of you can play. Yeah, let's play games. Let's all play this game. That, first of all, is already fucking terrifying and creepy. You should never do that in real life.
Stranger danger, dude.
Right? Like ice cream in your fucking car, I'm not coming towards it. You cannot offer me enough candy to get in your car. But these children, because they're bored out of their minds on this summer camp, decide it's probably the best thing to do. Okay, so the actually real nitty gritty of it. This guy was developing a game which turns out to be a robot that's fighting against other robots, and in order for the children to participate in this game, they need to enter into a contract with this robot. And so all the children except one go to the panel, register their palms, say their names, and are entered into the contract to pilot this robot.
Sounds fun, right?
Later in the day, the children wake up, but not in like their little summer cabin. They're not in their house where they're spending their summer camp at. Instead, they wake up in this weird sort of cockpit with chairs. But these chairs are not what you would see in like a spaceship or a plane or any sort of vehicle. Instead, it's a sort of dome where in the middle of it is a circle of random assortments of chairs, some being stools, some being desk chairs, some being those little pillows you have when you sit on the futon. Sit on the tatami.
Will, I'm stressing out as you're describing because all of it's coming back to me. Holy shit. Okay, go on.
And these chairs start spinning in a circle. Spin, 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 spin. And it stops. Then suddenly, a little white robot appears. Oh, who the fuck are you? Oh, you little fucking shitheads. Sit in this fucking chair right now and fight those monsters. Who are you? Doesn't matter who the fuck I am. What you gotta do right now is fight that other fucking robot. Sit the fuck down and fuck. Fight, not fuck. Fight. Don't fuck the robot. Fight the robot. Okay, cool. Sits down. First child sits down because in terms of the rotation, there is a little circular marker where if the chair falls onto it, that is the chair that belongs to the designated pilot for this specific fight. I also forgot to explain that the old man shows them how to fight, and then after he fights, he disappears. So the first child sits down, gets to grips with the machine, tries to fight, realizes it's a lot tougher because it's all telepathic. It's all mental energy. You don't actually have any controls. You don't have any joysticks and whatnot to actually fight this robot. Instead, it's the power of the mind. It's using your own cognitive ability to be able to fight against the opponent robot. Soon the kid gets to grips with it, fights it, destroys it, and it's because the reason why he's able to beat it is when I was growing up, I wanted to be a soccer player. My dad was a professional soccer player, but now he's a random salaryman, and I realized that there's no longer a dream in being a soccer player. But deep down inside, I know that soccer is my passion, and I will channel my love for soccer into being this robot. And he just kicks the shit out of this robot, and it destroys it and wins. Yay!
Great.
We won our first battle.
Yeah.
Awesome. The
Great.
kid drops dead.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no. Why did he die? Wait. Did you push him? No, I didn't push him. I just tapped his shoulder. You don't look at me like that. And he just slaps his sister in the face. And everyone's like, why are you hitting your sister? Because I didn't fucking murder him. Blackout. Wake up in the cabin. On our top news story today, the town of so-and-so has been destroyed by these ethereal creatures, and not ethereal creatures, they didn't see it yet, but by massive tsunamis and earthquakes. Reportedly, 150 people have died, with thousands still missing. Oh my God, did we do that? Oh, we did, but it's okay. We did that because we had to defeat the robot.
You had to save the world, right?
We're doing the right thing. Next kid shows up. Hey, I'm hot shit. My dad's a fucking big businessman. I love him because he's my idol. Everybody hates him, but that's because they're not as strong as him. And the ones who aren't as strong as him deserve to die, right?
I'll show you guys.
Okay, well, go ahead and do your thing. I'm gonna stomp on these little cars and robots and houses and shit. No, you're killing and hurting everybody. I don't care. They are getting in my way. What's the point in saving 10,000 lives when the whole world is at stake? Okay, I'm gonna kill this robot now. Oh no, I'm falling because I'm not controlling this machine really well. Oh, I stand up. Oh shit, I just crushed a car. That's a red sports car. That's my dad's favorite car. Oh my god, I just killed my dad. Rampage, and starts killing it and killing the robot. I'm so angry. Falls over, kills over, dies. And then that's when the kids realize whoever pilots the robots will fulfill their mission and die shortly afterwards. And thus is the story of Bokurano and the tribulations that each child has to go through when they pilot this fucking robot. So the names and stuff don't really matter here because it's kind of like in the same way that the manga does it. It's like every episode focuses on one particular child.
Yeah.
Right? Each child essentially has to go through the same thing of piloting this robot and learning how to fight with it and destroy the other robot, knowing that once they're done with it, their life is over. Now, each kid comes from different backgrounds. They have different dispositions and different personalities. Some of them, like the ones earlier mentioned, some had high hopes and dreams that were crushed with reality, but then feels that there's always a glimmer of hope no matter what. There's one who is just completely narcissistic. He's like a little Trump, basically. He's just a little Trump. And that's why I'm so glad he died, because he kills his own dad. And then there's others who, like, obviously, you know, are a little bit more sane, a little more tempered. And then there's some who are a lot more broken. In the sense that some of them come from broken homes. Some of them don't have parents, or their parents have ran away. Some of them come from families that are poor and, you know, their parents might have suicidal tendencies. Some of them are just normal kids who want to live a normal life, but because their parents are in high positions, therefore they can't. They have to essentially abide by certain expectations and whatnot, and therefore that stuff drags on their psyche, it drags on their mentality, it drags on their emotions. And so every battle that happens essentially kind of mimics the struggles and the pains that the kids have to go through, whether it's, you know, unrequited love and, you know, they're not able to express it because they know if they did, it wouldn't matter because they're going to die at the end of the day. Or maybe, you know, in one particular instance, a child is the victim of
stuff
of grapes.
Okay. Yeah.
And she needs to essentially take out her suppressed rage and anger of being betrayed and abused, but she doesn't know how to do it properly because she's still a child. But she's also cold-blooded because she's essentially has no regard for human life and just kills anything in her way. Yeah. It's what happens when you give, instead of giving children toys to play with, you give them a gun. Is the kid going to actually go on a murderous rampage? Is the kid going to be responsible and hand the gun back to whoever it was? Is the kid just not even going to touch it? Or is the kid going to be absolutely shit scared, clumsy, drops it and shoots themselves? You know, you play dangerous games, you get dangerous prizes.
Yeah.
That's basically it. So that was like the more like sort of like shithead condensed explanation of Bokurano. So there's obviously a lot of other things that are going on in terms of, you know, the populace discovering these monsters, these robots, and the government now seeing potential and utilizing the technology behind these robots and potentially using it as an energy source or maybe developing weapons and whatnot. Newfound technology has a price on it, and because the Japanese government has its hands on it, they want to keep it for themselves or sell it to the highest bidder. And thus then you have all these crazy government conspiracies that happen in the background. Certain people are trying to solve this mystery, but the closer they get, the further the finish line is. And it turns out that there are already circuit breakers in place, knowing that if you step one step too close to the finish line, we're going to stop you. And if you keep going, we're going to literally stop you. As in, unalive you.
Mm.
Overall, Bokurano is not the best anime series. It's I wouldn't even say it is a show that I would recommend to anybody to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an educational thing. Not that you should watch this to learn about life and the human condition and whatnot. No, it's more just like watching this and learning that, you give the freedoms to certain people and you let them run wild with their imaginations and their desires. Like, you are in for a world of pain because not everybody is a good person. And even if you are a good person, it doesn't mean you do good things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
and sometimes at the end of the day, we're all flawed and only human.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too deep into like the whole government conspiracy stuff, because the reason why is, upon like properly researching the series, the anime itself is very different from the manga.
Yes.
It even gone so far as when they were interviewing the creators of the respective mediums, they've said, for example, the creator of the anime adaptation said, I liked the script, but I didn't like the ending. I didn't like how certain things played out, and I wanted to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to the creator of the manga and asked if I was allowed the freedom to make tweaks to it. And the mangaka said, go right ahead, but don't Deus Machina things. As in, if there are certain things that are meant to be, leave them as is. Don't give a bullshit reason to just solve it.
Okay.
And it should also be known that the manga for Bokurano is way darker. Way darker. And it's because certain themes just can't fly on TV.
Yeah.
You cannot have that shit on air.
Yep.
Now, the individual stories, right? The 15 children that are there. And there's also other, like, auxiliary characters that are there, too. Each with their own traumas and their own life experiences. You essentially have, like, rather than, like, a monster... It actually is almost a monster of the week, because they're dealing with their inner demons.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's more hopeful, whether it's more despair, whether it's more sort of like really gung-ho, like I'm going to save the world, or more nihilistic and being like, what's the point if we're all going to die? Because they learn that whilst they're fighting in this robot, they're not just fighting any old enemy robot. Those robots are also piloted by other humans. And that's when they learn this space-time temporal shit where these are humans, but not of your Earth. They are humans of another Earth in the same continuum, but of a different timeline, of a different universe, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So when you destroy them, you're saving your existence. You're saving your side of humanity. Not realizing that when they destroy them, their existence ceases. And any connecting universe attached to that Earth is completely wiped out. Billions of lives completely snuffed out. And they watch it in real time. They destroy because most of the fights that they've had take place on Earth, in Tokyo or somewhere near Japan. There is, however, one fight where they go. It's like, wait a minute, this is Tokyo, but
something's different.
Doesn't feel like the same Tokyo. And then they realize they're in Japan, but in an alternate Earth. And when they destroy that robot, they actually see firsthand life completely being wiped out. The Earth engulfed in flames and then snuffed out like a dying star. As if that wasn't traumatic enough for the children. Overall, I feel that when watching Bokurano, I fully expected to be hit with trauma bombs.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Because that's what its reputation has been.
Yeah. Now, my concerns and criticisms with the show, though, is a lot of things were kind of left unexplained. In terms of, for example, one of the kids, and as I mentioned before, there's going to be a lot of spoilers, so stop. If you even are still listening to this now, I don't know why, there's going to be more spoilers ahead. So one of the kids completes his fight, but in his dying breath, he says, "I see them," and he looks up into the sky and he sees these humans clad in white, and they're smiling and laughing as they look down on him, and he says, "Are these the creators? Are these the masters of this game?" Nothing else is explained after that. Nothing. Where did these robots come from? Why is this fucking floating white robot floating around telling me what to do? Doesn't explain, except for the fact that I was once a human and I was fighting in this other fight, and then like I fought for my life when it turns out he was actually a cowardly piece of shit, and he just basically exchanged his own humanity to be able to continue living just as the next guide for the next robot, and he entices two other people, one which is the teacher from the beginning, and two which is the mystery child in this group, which didn't sign a contract because it turns out
Now
that
the brother,
that child was not from this earth, nor are the robot and the teacher. They actually came from a alternate Earth. That little white robot thing is the brother of that mystery girl. And what they've been doing is going on a journey throughout universes and timelines to essentially recruit more people to keep fighting this endless battle of earthly and humanity destruction. That's essentially their life journey, because that is the way the game works. But who created the game? Why does the game exist? What is the purpose of this? Is it just going to be an endless battle of life versus death? And even in death, and even in life, what is the meaning behind these things? And I understand that that's the symbolism of it, where it's like it's just an endless pit of despair. That all the suffering that we have on this earth will continue no matter what. Even if you were to, like, the victors dictate how history is told. That's how it's always been the case. And even if you were to win, that doesn't mean that that is the end of the story, because the end of the story is the end of humanity. And the fact that you're living and breathing now means that you will continue to experience more things, traumatic or not. But at the same time, I just felt that there were a lot of things that, when they were not explained, it kind of disconnected me from wanting to like dive deeper into the lore, into the story of these children. Also, a lot of the children's stories just sucked. I felt that like some of them were just angry for no reason, or like it was very, very stereotypical reasons. Some of them were just fucked up for no reason. Some of them were really well written. The one that I liked the most was the child. There were actually two that I really liked. One which was the child who has three siblings, and their parent, well, the mom died at a young age, and his dad just disappeared, and he wanted to bring them out to a theme park, but hours before he was supposed to take him to the theme park, he gets transported and he has to fight a robot, and so therefore he has to leave him behind. Another one is a kid who is friends with a guy and a girl, and the guy friend in the circle happens to have a faulty heart, and if he doesn't get it fixed, he'll die within a year.
And guess who the heart transplant compatibility?
That guy. But he's got feelings for this girl, and the other guy's got the same feelings for this girl, and he's like, you know what? You should go for him. Even if he's ill, he'll get back up to, you know, he likes you too. Oh, but you don't worry about me. I'll be okay. I just want to see my friends happy. Dies. Turns out that girl actually liked the kid who died, but she couldn't say anything, and she was reciprocating feelings for the other kid because he was dying of his heart condition too. Sad, melodramatic, very fucked up. And so, like, in terms of like the stories themselves, I feel that as a whole they mostly worked. Some of them I felt were just kind of done a bit hashed. Like it didn't seem like there was a lot of time for them to really build up as to why this character is so fucked up, or why this character is so angry and whatnot. And I feel a lot of them was just like, oh, we will just give this kid one traumatic experience, and that's why they're the way they are.
They're the trauma of the week.
Yeah. Animation wise, can't really say, again, this is 2007.
Yeah, it's 2007,
right? This
man.
is 18 years ago. This is a classic, right?
Yes.
Our first anime that we talked about today that is legally allowed to drink in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So I feel that when watching this, I was fully expecting to just be completely shocked and horrified and like broken at the end of it. But I never actually got there.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
And there's a few ways to look at it. One, I'm a much older man than I am now versus when I was 16 when this thing aired. So
for context, I watched it back then.
Yeah.
Like maybe like a year or two, like maybe in like 2009.
So you were well within like your teenage, early adult life.
So when I watched it, I'm pretty sure it left a very different impression than for you to watch it like in our 30s.
And so therefore it's like, it's not so much that like I've experienced a lot of trauma myself. I've lived actually a pretty comfortable life, but I have watched a lot of really fucked up things. And also our world is on fire right now. So maybe watching Bokurano at this time was pretty... It was less traumatic and more cathartic for me.
Okay.
Being able to see that, like, oh, these are the traumas that these kids are going through. Yeah, you deserve to die.
Oh shit.
Yeah, this kid, fuck them robots, you know?
One thing I really like about the anime is it doesn't hide just people doing different things.
Oh, yeah. No, each kid has their own motivations. Each human has their own way of life. And the way that they do things, it's very clear-cut. This kid has an anger issue, so therefore when he pilots the robot, he's going to fuck shit up, whether or not they are on your side. This kid, very timid. I think that one of the ones, actually, his name was Kirie. He's the soft-spoken, slightly chubby one. Whose mom actually attempted unaliving herself during the season, which was not great. And he's just like, in the beginning, I don't care about saving the Earth. What's the point? Why am I protecting this Earth when this Earth isn't doing anything for my mother, when my mother tried to off herself? And then afterwards realizing that there were people that could help him.
But is it, you're talking about Kirie, right?
Yeah.
So that moment, there's a moment, okay, we're spoilers, right? There's a moment where, if I remember, Kirie's the pacifist.
Yeah.
He is like, fuck this, I'm just gonna not do a shit. I'm just not gonna fight.
Well, he doesn't say that. He just says, I don't want to fight. Because
Right.
he just doesn't say anything. He's very silent. It's because he's got a shithead friend, quote unquote, who does the talking for him and decides what he's going to do and say. Which, by the way, that kid deserved to die, and I'm glad he did.
And so you go, okay, so you don't fight, but the thing is coming for you. Well, you're gonna die, right? Right? No. For some reason, no.
It doesn't matter if I win or if I fight, I'll die, and my mom will suffer on her own. If I lose, then we all die, and we don't have to suffer anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's just like,
What the fuck?
What the fuck, dude? Dude, I don't want to die. And then there's a girl who'll be like, no, I totally get what he's saying because I feel the same way too. What the fuck is wrong with you? Well, if you kill the other people, they're all going to die too. Does that mean what we're doing is the right thing? Because we're saving our humanity?
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing this because it's the right thing to do, or are we doing it because it's a selfish thing to do?
Yes. But the thing with Kirie, if I remember, because
he's an intuitive kid too. He figures out a lot of shit. Like right before he dies, it's like, oh, I've done my thing.
But
by the way, hey, bitch, I know you didn't sign the contract. Dies, and everyone's like, what the fuck? You didn't do the contract? Oh, no, he's just having an episode right now. I mean, he's dead. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Overall, I think the story of Bokurano as a whole is good. I just felt that some stories were a little... They were kind of off the boil. They didn't really develop as much as I hoped they would develop. Some characters were a bit too stereotypical. Again, these kinds of stories, you can't expect every character to be the perfect archetype.
Especially when you have only limited time per
and
person.
That's the thing, too. Each character had at most 2 episodes. right? Some like even only half an episode. Dude, the first kid died within 5 minutes.
Well, you got to show how it works, right?
So you gotta get the guinea pig out of the way, right? Which is sad because this was the fucked up thing was the most hopeful out of all of them was the first to die.
Well, that was deliberate,
and it was just like, whoa, hopes and dreams? Nah, dude, fuck that shit.
This is Bokurano, motherfucker.
So I think in terms of like people who should watch this, you shouldn't watch it first of all, but you should. You know, it's
one of those, right?
It's a weird kind of thing where it's like I would never personally recommend somebody to go watch it because I notice whenever like I go on Reddit and like my feed shows me like what's going on r/anime, there's always somebody that says, "What's the most fucked up anime there is? I need anime to make me cry. I need absolute deranged, disturbing shit." And that just shows, there's some really fucked up people in any sphere. And sometimes it's cool to watch whatever you want to watch. Just don't talk to me. You know?
Right.
It's kind of one of those things where, like, if I really wanted a good cry, I would watch Anohana.
Right. Yes.
Right? Because that shit's hopeful. That shit actually has a reason to be depressing. Whereas this one is more just like, yo, fucked up shit happens to everybody. So why don't you get some fucked up shit too?
It's like Oprah. You get some fucked up shit. You get some fucked up shit. We all get fucked up shit.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Oprah. Oprah is not,
Okay.
Oprah is basically Bokurano. There's a dark underbelly behind everything.
But the thing is,
okay, I'm not saying Oprah is Bokurano. I'm just trying to make a metaphor, and I probably didn't deliver it the best I could have.
I guess the thing is that it really goes to show how dated Bokurano is to a certain extent. Because when I watched it back in the day, it was very memorable because it was the edgelord thing. Because when chaos happens, and for sometimes even for no reason, I found that refreshing at the time.
I think it's also just the fact that, like, whenever you have these kinds of trauma pieces, whether it's in anime, movies, like movies do it all the time, whenever they recreate like historical events, like nobody watches Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima for fun, unless you're a psychopath, right?
Yeah,
like nobody's like, hey, you guys want to watch
Schindler's List?
Yeah, do you want to watch Schindler's List? Yeah, let's totally watch. You want? Hey, you want a really good thing to watch? Jacob's Ladder. Why don't we watch that together? You know,
fuck.
You know. I mean, great movie, but like, fuck, dude, no more psychotrauma, right?
Yeah.
But the thing with like Bokurano, especially when it released in 2003, the manga, right, and then the anime came out 4 years afterward. At the time, yes, you had 9/11, we had the Gulf War, we had the Arab Spring, but this was just before the GFC, right, the global financial crisis
of 2008,
right?
Yeah.
But it's also the fact that I'm watching this now, and we have what's happening in the world as of today, as of like literally, it's only been 2 weeks, and the world's already gone to fire, gone to shit, right? And then you also had COVID for 3 years. We've had so many wars going on in Europe and the Middle East. We've also got like so many like other crises that happen globally. Therefore, like when watching this, it's just like, it's not nearly as traumatic as it should be for me. Like, there wasn't a breaking point for me. Yeah, there were times when it's like, I see some real fucked up shit, like a character revealing why they're so fucked up. It's like, well, that's fucked up, right?
Yeah.
It should be. But it never got me to the point where I'm, like, scarred or, like, traumatized from ever, like, watching things like this anymore. So it did its job in delivering a message, albeit a pretty shaky message. And the other thing as well is, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it more if I read the manga. Because just as much as people were saying, like, oh, the manga is superior, right? The director said he didn't like it. Fuck that guy. Oh, the director of the anime is a fucking idiot. He should have done it in complete fruition. Right? But at the same time, like when I read like the synopses and like the differences in the plots and all that, I feel like it wouldn't have really made much of a difference. It's much darker and more dystopian, and there's less hope in the manga than there is in the anime. I mean, I'll spoil it anyway. You know how there's like one child that survives in the anime? Everyone dies in the manga.
Okay.
Yeah. And at the end of the anime, there's like the kid that grows up, basically the young sister grows up, and she reconnects with like the other siblings of like the dead kids and all that. And it seems like they're marching towards a hopeful future because the games have ended and they no longer have to fight, but they need to still live with the traumas they have. In the manga, the games just keep going on.
You see, I like that.
I like that too, but at the same time, it's like I don't know if it would be any more impactful for me. I feel in the end, like it's already done what it needed to do after the first child died. So overall, I gave the manga, the anime, a 7. It's not a quote unquote good anime, but it's definitely a useful anime to have watched in terms of understanding that you can use this medium to put across a message of, hey, if you fuck things up on this earth right now, there is no going back. And if you are thinking that you want short-term gains, you're not thinking about what's going to happen in the future, yeah, you might be doing real well right now, but give it 5 years, 10 years, however many years, and there's going to be no point of return. So the message is clear. The message is very much pointedly like delivered to the audience or whoever reads or watches
Bokurano,
this horrifying masterpiece of trauma. I would have liked it if they had given more time to further develop each story. Like even in the manga, at most each kid had 3 to 4 chapters, which is not very long. That's like barely a volume. I'd say that's like a third of a volume. So I think the creator, the mangaka, as well as the director, had a vision, delivered the message, because it doesn't really matter what each kid goes through. Overall, everyone suffers. And that was like the main point of Bokurano. So I liked it. Did I love it? No. Would I ever recommend it to people? Absolutely fucking not. But if you've heard enough of me saying, because honestly, like I haven't even like explained how everything happens, other than kids. Like, you should know that like with these kinds of stories, everyone dies, right? Tokyo Ghoul, literally everyone dies. Attack on Titan, literally everyone dies. It's one of those things where it's like I remember reading up on basically like what Bokurano was about on the Mal forums,
right?
And one person was like, "So Attack on Titan is like shooting someone with a trauma bullet from a sniper rifle.
Okay.
You don't know when it's going to happen, but when it does, it's going to fucking cause damage." Bokurano is like getting shot with a trauma bullet with a Gatling gun.
Yeah.
It's every fucking day, every fucking minute.
And never ending, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And constant, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, those are my thoughts. I thought that I would be more traumatized. I'm not saying I'm disappointed that I wasn't as traumatized. But
is it because of the reputation?
Yeah. But it's also just the fact that I think it's just me being an older person, not old man.
You're Unk.
Yeah, I'm Unk now, right? I'm Gramps.
I mean, we are Unk, yeah.
So basically, had I watched this when I was 16, oh fuck yeah, that would have ruined things for me. Right now, like I'm chilling, I'm good. I'm not nearly as traumatized or despaired or fucked up from it. So if you've listened to this far and are still interested in it, go ahead, do yourself a favor and watch it.
Because we didn't obviously reveal all the traumas, quote unquote, right?
Yeah. All right, now on to the final, the last entry into our closet cleanup for today. Jason, take it away.
It is a show that I have been putting off forever, and I am really glad that I got it. Odd Taxi is an original anime series directed by Baku Kinoshita and written by Kazuya Konomoto. It won Best Anime Series at the IGN Awards in 2021. Has the Best Protagonist, Odakawa the Walrus. I approve of that. And the Best Director at the Crunchyroll Anime Awards in 2022. Also 9 other nominations. It is produced by OLM and PICS.
Or just PIX.
Released in spring 2021. Has a raw anime score of 8.65, making it rank 79. Popularity 513 with 472,000 members. all of that is important for this. Now, I think...
So before we go into this, how spoilery do you want to go with this?
I think what I will do is I will go light on the spoilers.
So similar to how we do our
gotta watch them all.
You'll do a soft landing,
Yeah.
and afterwards hit them with the hard shit.
Yeah. So, but before even that, similarly with Bokurano in terms of its reputation, Odd Taxi also has a reputation, but it being one of the best anime series in recent memory. Will, what was your score for Odd Taxi?
I gave it a 9.
In the end, that's what I also gave it. My sister's husband, I can say that now because congratulations.
Your brother-in-law.
Yeah. It's his favorite anime of all time. He even has Odokawa a figure on his desk. That's how much he loves Odd Taxi.
Band of taste. I like that.
I also need to say up front, the fucking best OPED chilled out thing ever. Lo-fi. I don't even know what you call it. It's the best.
Yeah. Skirt and Punpee with Odd Taxi for the opening is so good. The music video they do really well too.
Yeah.
Because it's basically Oikawa.
You mean the opening sequence, right?
No, they also do a music video for it too.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's basically Oikawa driving a taxi, and it's the two rappers in the back rapping along whilst Oikawa's driving them throughout Tokyo.
Wait, but then is it like what do you call it? The mirror?
It's a real taxi, so it's not like animated. But Oikawa itself is driving it, holding the steering wheel, and then you can see in the rear view mirror.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Like Oikawa's like brow with Punpee and Skirt in the back, like just vibing and rapping in the back. It's a good music
I
video.
definitely need to check that out. And the other thing that I knew about it was it is what BNA like B stars.
It's the anthropomorphic.
But not completely.
Not completely.
But I mean, the walrus is the main character, right? And it is an anime original, which is really rare in general, right? And for it to be so successful and it just goes to show how anime originals really have that potential. So, the animation, first of all, I'll start from the most mundane, least important.
Oh, just to sort of give you an idea of how good this thing is, at least on my anime list, right? So, cross-referencing anime originals as well as award-winning anime, that list includes Your Name, Code Geass, Spirited Away, Cowboy Bebop, Gurren Lagann, Madoka Magica, basically all the Ghibli movies, Weathering with You, and all that. Like, and Yuri Nice. Like, this is what we're talking about in terms of that particular echelon.
Mm-hmm. And I really don't want to tell you what it's about because the pleasure, the joy is the mystery of it. That is literally the whole premise.
I watched this not knowing anything. I mean, of course, you can't really know anything about it other than whatever they've released.
Yeah.
Right? You can read the synopsis, which doesn't really give it away a lot of stuff. And
which
you
is
can watch
smart,
the
by
trailers,
the way. Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, like I went in completely blind. You knew enough about it being popular, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
And so therefore watching it was answering that why.
Mm-hmm. And I have to be honest, when I first watched like up till like episode 3, I was really confused.
Yep.
And I'm sure a million people have used what I'm about to say word for word, but it was really odd at first.
Yeah.
Hella weird, hella odd. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Who are all these people? Okay, you're a cab driver, but like, why is that an issue? Why are these people having all these relationships but not informed me prior? Why do I feel that Alpaca is best waifu of all time for some reason? I don't know. How is capoeira effective when it's all of a sudden needed at the witching hour kind of thing? The point is, in the beginning, I was really confused because there was a lot of this anticipation, a lot of this hype that I was supposed to be wowed. And it reminds me of those shows like, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, or like Brick, or like Fargo, where...
For a minute, I thought you were just listing Guy Ritchie movies.
Oh, no, Brick was
When you started with Lock, Stock.
yeah. But it's like a weird eclectic group of different characters, each with their own story that seems very much disjointed and unrelated, minus maybe one connection of like in the same city, or this person knows this person, or this person took a cab ride from Orakawa. But then at the very, like, I think three-quarters of the way through, everything started piecing together, and it was really, really cool to see that happen because it felt very organic. You know, like when you play the video game, have you played Portal?
Yes, absolutely.
You know how Portal somehow makes you feel fucking like a genius when you solve it.
Because they give you superpowers, and you think you're gonna be indestructible, and then when you reach the end, you realize, no, you're just a pawn.
Right. But when you solve those puzzles, right, it's not like, unless if
you want to play all over again.
Unless if I told you how to solve those puzzles, when you solve it yourself and it clicks, it is so satisfying. Like, you feel like you can conquer Mount Everest. And when everything,
Portal 2 was really fucking good too.
Yeah. And when they all started coming together and everything becomes connected and it reaches this crescendo, I had the biggest grin on my face, even though not necessarily what is on screen was the most pleasant thing either. So the reason why I think it is so good is it takes its time. Just like how the OP and ED is very chilled and laid back.
It's funny you say it takes its time too, even though it's only one cur.
Yeah.
It's for a mystery, like, you can absolutely do like a mystery, but even like, for example, like Summertime Render, with the mystery about it still ran for 2 curves.
Right.
It needed time to grow as well, right?
And would you say Summertime Render had places where it probably would have been better if it was like had more time to breathe?
I actually felt that there were certain segments that like
dragged out.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been done a little bit faster.
I do not think there's any way that you can improve the pacing of Odd Taxi. There's no. It's like all the fat has been trimmed. It is as good as it can be in terms of pacing. There is nothing else, and it is everything else. I think I asked you a long time ago. Does everything get resolved at the end of the season?
Yeah.
And I forgot what you said, but I think it says like some questions weren't answered.
Yeah.
I felt like all the questions that I wanted answered got answered, though.
Yep. And that's also, I'll leave that to the spoiler part, actually.
Right. So, at the end of the day, it's an extremely good show. And all the twists and the turns, it was fantastic. When I every time I just opened Odd Taxi again to watch the next episode, it was great. I think one of the most rawest moments was something that involves a microtransactions and a dodo bird.
Yeah.
And how it all looped around and erasers are involved and how you thought it was over until the very end. It comes back again, like loop the loop. And it was really cool to see all of that. Everything is interconnected, intertwined, overwoven, layered on layered. It was a fantastic journey. Now, why didn't I give it a 10? The reason...
I mean, it's personal, right?
It's personal because there wasn't, like, to me, an emotional attachment, an emotional epiphany. But it was such a good show because I'm singing high praises to it. So, to me, the 9 is the most appropriate score.
And that's a very good score already. I mean, like, you can't really get higher other than giving it a perfect score, right?
And I think it really goes to show how anime... This cannot be done with live action in a way that I think will be effective.
Well, I mean, of course, of this format, right?
Yes.
Of this theme, there's absolutely no way.
Yes.
There's obviously good mystery in live action.
Oh, 100%.
But this is like a different, unique take on mystery. Because a lot of stuff is confusing, but not like for the sake of like befuddling your audience. No, it's all calculated.
Yeah. And the twist also that is kind of revealed towards the end is very much not really believable if it was live action.
No.
And that being said, let's go into spoilers. So, I was so confused why animals were involved in the first place.
Like, you thought this was going to be a Beastars BNA kind of thing.
No. I thought, like, dude, just make them humans. Why is that, like, an issue? Like, okay, is it, like, an aesthetic choice at first? Like, is it because, like...
No, I think it's just to add to the confusion and mystery.
Right.
I think because it's easier to throw things off when you're not as connected to them, because of the fact that, like, yes, they are humanoid anthropomorphic animals, but at the same time, it's like there's enough of like a disassociation of reality where, like, you're not going to immediately think, oh, I see that character, immediately I know they're a villain, or I know that they're like a criminal.
And it's funny you say that, because that is exactly what the twist was, which is Odokawa's so traumatized by the way things unfolded that he has to kind of see everyone as animals to go to a safe space. And then when it reveals how, oh, actually, everyone was human, he's just traumatized and has overcame that issue.
Yeah. So the medical term is visual agnosia, where essentially, like, it's an impairment of recognition of certain things. Where it doesn't necessarily mean you see things as animals. No, it just means that you don't see things the way they are. It could be like, it might be like some level of blindness. It might be some way of distorting your perception.
Like, it just does not compute.
Yeah, not necessarily like a physical medical. It's more a mental, psychological kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's really smart with the way that they give you red herrings. So obviously, in the very beginning, there was the missing girl, and then you thought, oh, the girl is just chilling inside the closet. Because why is he talking to himself? Well, everyone suspects him. Everyone grabs the dash cam. Duh. Oh, maybe he's trying to save her. Turns out that was like the most moot point ever, which is really funny because that's almost the last thing that you see, which then also turns out the last thing that you see is also the real murderer at the very, very end. And I really like that ending. I'm also really worried about Odokawa in that ending, I'm just going to say.
I mean, we're in spoiler territory,
yeah.
So do you want to know?
What?
The ending?
I watched the ending.
So you remember you asked me about the movie version.
Oh, yeah.
Then they give you an extra, like, 15 minutes, essentially breaking down the ending.
Wait, so it moves on from her going into the taxi.
So it kind of like basically recalls and like retells like the story of a taxi, but rather than episodic, it's just one full movie format.
Right.
And then the last part is like it picks up from when the girl enters the taxi.
Right.
And like I think she pulls out a knife or something like that.
No. She just hangs up the phone with her mom. She's saying, and I'm just gonna tie up loose ends.
Yeah.
And then she smiles and then
blackout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically it tells the story of what happens afterwards. Short story, she gets arrested, he's safe.
That sucks.
Exactly.
That's a fucking terrible ending.
Exactly. And that's why people who were watching the movie felt betrayed, because that's the when you watch mystery, especially with this, right? You said that you said it yourself. All the questions that you had were answered. The question of whether or not Odokawa survives at the end or whatever happens, that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because he overcame what he needed to overcome in the show.
Yeah. And I think like what it was a lot of people theory crafting at the end of whether or not Odokawa makes it, whether or not he gets murdered by Wadagaki, the murderer, right?
That's the same thing in Inception when Leonardo DiCaprio does the spinning with the top. I think that is the whole point of it.
Oh man, I remember one time. This was when I was still in college. I was spending my Thanksgiving at a friend's place down in Hemet in Southern California, and my friend's brother-in-law was just basically like 3 bottles of wine deep.
Okay,
but like explaining to you, no, he is in reality. This is real life, because at the very end you could see that the spinning top kind of wobbles at the end. It's it's like, I mean, like, motherfucker, that's why the movie kept it there, is to give people the impression that it is possibly reality, but you never see the pin drop. So then you don't know if it actually happens.
It could go either way.
That's why these kinds of mystery stories work, because if all answers were given to you, then it feels like there's no point in even talking about the story anymore.
Yeah.
Like, yes, grander mysteries, like grander plot lines being solved, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
But then whether or not like the ending itself is giving you a clear-cut answer as to like the 100% completionist ending,
True ending, yeah.
you don't need to know that. That's the beauty of these kinds of movies, these kinds of TV series.
And do you know what I feel is that the way that they revealed the killer and the reason and the motive is so dumb and mundane and typical that I thought it was so good, because sometimes that's all it takes. Just simple revenge, jealousy, and just careful planning, and just being kind of outside of everyone's radar. People, I think there's definitely going to be people that be like, dude, that she was the murderer. Wow, that's so lame. I'm like, no, I think that's the point.
Yeah.
It's because it doesn't matter. And the fact that it got revealed at the very last minute and then you don't know is like she almost got away with it. It's a loose end that we will never be able to know if it was tied. Obviously, with the movie, then it kind of explains it. But yeah, I thought
shit. I actually didn't know this. So concurrently with the anime, there was actually an audio drama as well that came out. It came out on the anime's official YouTube channel. And what it actually is the in-between conversations of the characters. So basically, there's like a bugged pen.
Yeah.
Right? And it captures the conversations between each character. So it could be like overhearing conversations that happen inside the taxi or at the hospital or at the recording studio and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like filling in like any conversations that might have been missed as you're watching the anime, which I think is pretty cool. It's not absolutely necessary to listen to it. Just the anime itself is already perfect. Mm-hmm. So perfect despite not giving it a 10 out of 10 for me. It's, weird, but
I mean, the same thing.
Y'all know how we rate stuff.
Yeah, and I feel the same way, right? With my rating. The other thing that I will mention is they do have flaws though in the show. That as much as I'm singing it to high praises, there are certain things that I wish was done better. And one of those things was there are characters that I thought didn't need to really have its own resolution, particularly the dogs, the police brothers.
Yeah, I remember them.
Their roles were very dumb. They were necessary to a certain extent, but it just wasn't as impactful as literally everyone else that had screen time. Almost everyone else had some sort of contribution, in my opinion, whereas I feel like the cops were placeholders in a way. Like, they could have been more interesting because they weren't very interesting to me at all. You could have played around with the sense of justice and corruption, which is that whole shtick, right? But it at the end just didn't hit as elegantly as literally everything else. And it's fine because on its own it's fine, but when everything else is done perfect, it stands out.
I think what it is, it's a juxtaposition of black and white, right? One who's righteous and has a strong sense of justice, the other one being crooked and corrupt. But when you see like the two extremes played out in a series where everything is fucking like mixed up, convoluted, you don't really know how to make 2 cents out of it, that, like you said, it sticks out.
Yeah.
So I understand. Like, I don't think it was that bad, but thinking back on it, like they were definitely not the most memorable characters.
The rapper I thought was really dumb. The way that was his shtick, I guess.
The
Yano,
porcupine.
Yano, yeah. And I was just like, why does he have to rap? I guess it's cool to a certain extent, but again, I'm only nitpicking because everything else is
you just have to
done so well. It really is. I really like, again, mentioning the dodo bird and the microtransaction. That guy, man, he's gone through some shit, bro. And I would say even the idol girl, her story was really cool too.
I'm glad that you were best girling Shirakawa.
The fact that her capoeira came in effect and have it be so effective was hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's like, she's a capoeira studying, nurse who's, very happy, but she's also involved in black market drug trade.
Yeah. And also, like, it just so happens that
It's just, yeah, that's the thing. Like, nothing is ever clear cut except for the two dogs.
yeah. Also, when is it the guy that starts with D, the bad monkey, the evil monkey with Dobu, when he fucking calls it, yo, let's call it Operation Odd Taxi. I was like, you motherfucker, you fucking called it. You said it. You said the name. Okay, good for you. It was a really fun time, and it was one of those things where I don't know when the next type of these kinds of mystery shows will show up again.
I mean, it's an original, right? So it's probably not going to happen. You're going to have to find somebody who wants to spend the time crafting stories and characters that are this detailed and intricate. Like, you really have to make sure that your characters are good in order to carry the story.
Yeah.
And therefore, like, I don't know if anybody is willing to attempt that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that Odd Taxi is the greatest mystery, but it does a pretty damn good job at it.
Yeah,
right?
it definitely is. The other thing that I think is Otokawa is such a unique moral compass, even though it's very straightforward, if that makes any sense.
Such a blunt and depressing character. He just talks like this all the time.
Yeah, but like,
but I love it. I love it.
If you were to give me how much money was that? 1 million yen?
Oh, it was way more than that. It was like 100 million yen.
100 million yen? Like, how could you be so morally just? Or that the lottery winner? Like, how you're so rigid and so stubborn and so...
I think it's his strong pursuit for living a normal life after all the traumas he's experienced as a child.
And that story about the zoo is so sad. So sad. Meanwhile, he's flying like E.T. with the moon and bills are coming out of the trunk. It's the most absurdist kind of image ever. I think the low-key best two characters, again, not my favorite, but low-key, the constant premise of the Homo sapiens, the two comedic, their back and forth and their development is low-key the best part of the whole, it's the underrated part of the whole show.
The Manzai duo.
Yeah, and the fact
Shibaki, the boar, and Baba, the horse.
Yeah, and the fact that Baba went, who is the idol girl again? Her name? The one who ends up going to jail.
Wadagaki. No. Wadagaki is the murderer.
The murderer, the cat. Which, by the way, ties into the cat that comes out of the hiding.
Canon?
Yeah. Is it Canon?
Canon.
She's
like a freelancer model, right? Freelancer idol. Sorry.
Wait, really?
There was another one which was Reina the rabbit.
Reina the rabbit.
Too many animals.
Sorry. Yeah, anyways, the Baba dates her apparently, or like they're together, like romantically. Like that was a cool thing to see her go from pretentious, thinks she is hot shit, to kind of getting a dose of reality and then being okay with it. And the same thing with Otokawa being like, yo, listen, you are stealing drugs from my buddy, and I just don't like you. I don't trust you. You love me? Oh, why would you like me? Which, by the way, when she said that she was into someone and then hands him the phone and then it's the photo, it's the camera pointing at himself, I'm just like, yo, that is such a smooth G move. Damn, I need to learn love lessons from a llama. I can't believe that. At the end of the day, I would so go far as to say that Odd Taxi is a must-watch show if you are into anime. There is no doubt in my mind that it is an important show because it really shows you what anime can do. It's not only a really good story in of itself, it also has chill vibes. because nothing crazy melodramatic happens, even though a lot of shit happens. And I just really like the show a lot.
And I will say that Bokurano is also a really important series to watch because it shows what is capable in the wrong hands. And the world is a fucked up place. Much in the same way where, like, Odd Taxi, a lot of shit's pretty fucked up too.
Yeah, and if when you look at animals, it's like, yeah, but you're talking about, like, black market drugs. You're talking about, like, degen behavior. Like, it's no joke.
It's also really, like, funny as well that, like, when I was watching it and I was seeing all the animals, and then, like, when I saw the twist where it turns out the guy's got agnosia and he just imagines them as animals, I was like, do you see them based on, like, their personality? No, he just sees them based on who they, like, what they actually look like and what they wear. That's why the animals are represented that way.
Sometimes
it's just so simple.
Yeah, sometimes the simplest solution. So do you think, in your opinion, that so are they is Otokawa, would you say he's with the love interest essentially? It doesn't matter.
It's a question that I don't need an answer to.
That is true. All right.
And we went through a pretty big gauntlet of stuff. I mean, look, at the very bottom of the rung, I would say Godzilla Singular Point is not a must-watch, but it's on Netflix, so if you got time, you can always have a look at it. Idoly Pride, the surprise of today.
I think Idoly Pride is more important to me in the sense than Odd Taxi, because Odd Taxi is already really good, and this just confirms everyone's beliefs and then me joining the fray. Whereas Idoly Pride was, what the fuck am I watching? But this is pretty good.
I mean, you give it an 8, which is a lot higher than I expected. I thought it was going to be a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I thought so too.
This might actually be the best Idol recommendation I've ever given to anybody.
Yeah. Who knows?
Well, maybe aside from Zombieland Saga and Sinful Gear.
Well, you haven't recommended anyone to watch Sinful Gear. I've recommended you to watch Sinful Gear.
I mean, that totally could have been your pick for my gotta watch them all.
No, the first... No.
But I feel like, Railgun's gonna be a fun time.
That's not gonna... Because it's such a uneven roller coaster.
What's gonna be great, too, is that I think... Wait, Railgun is 1 cur or 2 curs?
2.
Perfect. That means I can watch it on my first leg when I go on a trip next week. I'm up to... Guangxi province, and then at the end of the month I'm heading off to Okinawa.
Yeah, and I'm gonna watch Bungo season 1 and 2.
It's gonna be a fun time.
It's gonna be a fun time. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. If you want, you can always leave a ratings or review. If you want to contact us, we have an email, gapalette@gmail.com, GAPALETTE, all lowercase, all one word. We have a handle using @PaletteGood, capital P and capital G, all one word. And we have a website, www.goodanimepalette.com, all lowercase, all one word. Music credits for this episode. Our intro music is Life is a Party by John Runefelt. Our break music is Chemistry Love by Swift7. And our outro music is Voyage by Pow. You can support the music artists that we feature by listening to them on Spotify, Apple Music, or your music listening platform of choice. And Epidemic Sound provides all of our royalty-free music. If you're interested, you can sign up using our referral link in the show description. Terms and conditions apply.
Would you go so far as to say that Odd Taxi is a top 10 anime in the last 5 years? Or close to it?
Shit. I don't even know what is out in the last 5 years. That was the issue, right? Like, how am I...
Frieren.
Okay, wait.
Oshinoko.
Okay, so that's already, like, 2 that I would say is already in top. Fruits Basket, Vivi. Okay, not top 5. I'm sorry.
There's also top 5, but also the final season of Attack on Titan, Apothecary Diaries.
Yep, no way.
Vinland Saga season 2.
Yeah, it's not.
Jujutsu Kaisen second season. What else was there?
Even Kobayashi Dragon Maid, I would put it in a way more of my thing. But it's almost like they're so rare of a good mystery show.
Best mystery of the last 5 years, then.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's not much competition.
Well, I don't know. You haven't finished Summertime Render yet, have you?
No.
Oh. I mean, I'm not going to make you watch it as part of the GAP, but you have.
We could.
You have time. definitely check it out.
Because I only watched the first episode.
Actually, now that you think about it, I'm looking at the top 10, the top anime series that came out in the last 5 years. Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic is there.
Yeah.
So okay, that's tough.
So when I'm
Bocchi the Rock is there.
Yep, Bocchi the Rock. Oh my god, I forgot. Is Cyberpunk Edge Runner last 5 years? It should be.
Yes, but
because we did the podcast.
Yes, it's not top 50, but it is.
It would be my top 5.
91.
Yeah. So I think the last thing I would sort of want to end on is, Will, when we look back at this cleanup list, right? Would you have obviously?
It didn't look strong from the offset, to be perfectly honest. Mostly because Unknown with Idoly Pride, GSP being so low, so lowly scored, Bokurano's Trauma Bomb that's like rated highly enough, and Odd Taxi is like everybody already knows about it. But I think like I wanted to sort of hear from you, someone who goes in it, because like there's a lot of shows where like I wish I can go back into it blind
and watch the first time.
Like I would do it with Summertime Render. I would do it with Vivi. I would do it with Odd Taxi. I would do it with with Code Geass too. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff on there, but it's like there's certain series where it's like once you watched, you're kind of like, even if you erase my memory and I was to watch it all over again, it probably would still be the same. Like I would probably like not be like super wowed or like whatever. Odd Taxi is one of those where like I would rewatch it if I could erase that part of my memory.
Yeah. I just think it's a really odd thing to not like it.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good way to wrap this up. So
to a singular point.
I'm so glad that you got to. We're just like, oh my god, don't tell me it's a singular point. It's like it's in the title of the anime.
Hey, maybe I'm just too prideful.
You're clairvoyant is what you are. You predicted the future, even though this anime came out 4 years ago.